This is the tutorial for Chapter 23 in your Beginning AutoCAD workbook. Our objectives for Chapter 23 are to understand what a polyline is, draw a polyline and a polyarc, assign widths to polylines, set the fill mode to on or off, and explode a polyline. So a polyline is similar to a regular line in that it needs a start and an end point. But a polyline, you can have a whole bunch of little segments all joined together. You can specify the width of each segment, and each of those segments could have a different starting and end width to them. Polylines get used as a base for your 3D modeling because it creates an enclosed region that you can use for extruding or push-pull. So a polyline, instead of just being a line, it actually has properties. It has width. If you create a closed polyline, it'll give you an area, like a polygon, a triangle would be a closed area. So let's look at the polyline command. So it's on your draw panel. You can either use the tool or you can just type PL in your command line. So it says a 2D polyline is a connected sequence of segments created as a single planar object. You can create straight lines, arc segments, or a combination of the two. Okay, so as an example of a polyline with an assigned width, I'm going to pick a start point. I'm going to type W for width, 0.5 to start it, 0.5 to end it, and I'm going to tell it the length. I could just click wherever I wanted, but I'm going to tell it a length, and I'm going to say 1. Now I can keep making more segments, so my next segment I'm going to say it has a starting width of, what were my last ones? 0.5, okay. It's going to have a starting width of 1 and an ending width of 0 and a length of 1.25. So we've created this arrow and it's all one piece. You could just do polyline, start point, assign a width to it, so 0.25 and 0.25. And I'm going to turn off my F8, and you could just start creating polylines. If I got to there and I wanted to close it off, I could hit C for close. Now I have an enclosed object. Okay. Let's look at that doing a polyarc. So same command to start with PL. We'll pick a start point. Sorry, PL. We'll pick a start point and we're going to give it a width of 1 to start, 0.25 to end, and this time we're going to pick arc. So I could say I wanted to give it a radius. I could select all different options for it here. So let's just do that. Let's do radius, and let's say we want it to have a radius of 1. So that's your polyarc. We can have a width option or we can have a half width option. So I'll show you what that is. Start, we're going to do width, starting width of 1, ending width of 1. So that's when I use 1 as the width. This time I'm going to do half width. And I'm going to do 1 again. And 1 is the end width. So you can see half the width of the polyline is 1 this time. Let's look at the fill option. So you saw that my polylines looked really solid. So fill, I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to create a polyline with it turned off. So these are just polylines with my fill turned off. If I had my line weight turned on, the outer edges of the polyline would be thick, but it's not filled in. If I did it with an arc, and this really doesn't do anything except control what it looks like on your screen. It doesn't change the properties of your polyline at all. So that's what a polyline arc would look like turned off, with fill turned off. Turn fill back on. And let's do one more polyline. I'm going to set my width back to something more normal, 0.25, 0.25. And I'm just going to draw some random polylines here. Okay, so that's all one piece. If I hit explode, it turns it back into regular lines. So they're not polylines anymore, just regular lines. Okay, so it walks you through an example on page 23-5 with a starting width of 1, an end width of 1, and a length of 3 for the first segment. Then it gets larger into an arrow. So let's just quickly walk through that one. Justify first point. I'm going to turn my F8 on. Oops, sorry, I'm in line. Polyline. First point, width, starting width is 1, ending width is 1, length is 3. Start point, width, and our length was 3. Next one, our starting width is 2. Our ending width is 0.5. And our length was 2.75. And then it goes on and it creates one more piece. So our starting width is 0.5. Our ending width is 1. And our length was 2.5. So that's the example it gives you in the book. Okay, so that is a quick overview of what polylines are and how to work with them.